Welcome everyone to another Observability Lab. Today we are getting early insights into the latest improvements of Dynatrace when it comes to analyzing your web performance, your mobile performance. We have a couple of new cool apps that are built in the new Dynatrace platform. And for this, I have invited Bernat, who is one of the product managers on these new capabilities. And Bernat, I would like you to show me today the exploratory phase of what web developers, what mobile developers can do to analyze performance and problems. And then we'll do another session on how all of this gets analyzed by our Davis AI to automatically detect problems in production. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Andy. So yes, today I would like to present you one of our newest apps, the Experience Vitals app. This is what we call the Watchtower to check how all your frontends are doing. So in here, in the example, what we see is that we are monitoring 5 frontends. We can see that some of those are unhealthy, others have warnings, and all of them are web. We don't have mobile frontends in this tenant. We can decide to enable more frontends. We have a set of ready-made dashboards and notebooks. But what I want to go now, as you mentioned, is to go explore what's happening in these frontends. So when I click to Explore button, here I can see the list of my frontends. And in this screen, I could see already the key vitals for those frontends, like the users and sessions, the core web vitals, the errors, and also the health alerts. Here it's showing me if among all those critical vitals, there is something going on. And we can see that in this case, there is a vital that is above the normal threshold, that it's showing in red, in others it's showing in orange. And now I could go and say, okay, let's go deeper in one of those specific frontends. So I go to my Astroshop frontend, and here I can see some of those metrics with an histogram, see how they evolve over time, users and sessions, availability, and so forth. But for that, let me go a little bit deeper. Let's analyze performance. And here we have a much more comprehensive view on this singular frontend, where we can see all the pages and all the views, how they are contributing to the performance. And we can see that precisely one of the core web vitals, content layout shift, it's in warning and in all the pages. We can go more in detail on what's going on with the availability. This is provided by the synthetic monitors. We can check those core web vitals, and we see exactly that the content layout shift, it's not on the good area, but on the fair area. That's why we have a warning. And I continue exploring with the navigation diamonds, users and sessions, and also here I can see the errors. What are the errors happening in this frontend? Let me expand a little bit the time frame, and I can see all the errors that happen in this particular frontend for the last 12 hours. And let's say that I'm particularly interested in this error here. I want to explore further. So I will click here, and it will open one of our other new apps, is the Error Inspector. This app has been developed with developers in mind, because we want to have it much more easier for them to explore those errors. So in this case, we just open this particular error for my frontend Astroshop. We can check the distribution among operating systems, browsers, how often it's happening. We can check the details of this is a fail request. We can see which pages or views is affecting, but very importantly, we need to understand how is this affecting the end users. And to do so, here we can see all the sessions that has been affected by this particular error, and I can click on an individual session, and here I can see all the events that happen in the session. We see that this is a demo session with a lot of failed requests, so we can understand in which context this error happened, how it might be affecting the user, but now we need to understand why is this happening. So now I can close the session viewer, and I can decide that I want to explore the trace ID. I want to see the backend linked to the front-end error. When I click here, it opens our distributed tracing app for this particular trace. And now I'm getting the idea. So this is a request call to get an image, but we see here that we are having errors. And when I go to the details, I can see that there is a missing image. So I have, I found the issue. So what do I do now? I can go back to my Error Inspector app. And now that I realize what is the issue at hand, I want to pass it over to the teams that are going to fix it. For this, I have a send button here. that will help me share with the teams in a variety of platforms. And I could choose, for example, to send an email, put the recipient's email. I have already the subject and the text, the body pre-filled with the relevant information and the link that the person can click and come exactly to the same screen. I can add some additional text like, please check. And then I could send it over. So this is a first way of starting exploring the frontends until I find an issue and I pass it to the teams.
Bernat, this is awesome. For me, I come from the backend side, so I'm very familiar with the distributed traces. Years ago, I did web performance optimization, but that was really years ago. Seeing all of the web vitals and seeing how everything is connected, the front end and the back end, is just fascinating. And I really like the new flow where, from an exploratory perspective, you also make it easy to then hand over the information to somebody else. Really fantastic. As you said, we've seen two apps now. That's the Experience Vitals, where you started with the performance overview, and then you went into the Error Inspector. Phenomenal. Is there anything else you can show us?
Yes, so let's imagine now that I'm a development team. And what I'm doing is every morning, I'm going to the Error Inspector to review all the errors happening in my frontends. So for that case, let me go to another environment with different frontends. Here, we have an error overview. So this team is in charge of 3 frontends. We can see them here, that Easy Travel, My Web, and Easy Travel. And we can see that here I'm seeing my frontends, and I see one that it's having quite a certain number of errors that is unusual. I can see here the distribution per type, so I see there is a lot of fail requests, operating system, and I can even see where most of the errors are happening. And now if I go to explore deeper, what I can do is I see the list of all those errors affecting my frontends, and let's say that a couple of days ago, we released a new version of our mobile app. So we want to focus on the changes between those versions. So in the filters in the left, I can decide that I want to show only the errors affecting 2 particular versions. In this case, we see that the filter on the top is being pre-filled with those versions. But if I have more information I want to filter through, I have many suggestions here and many more. So these have a lot of power to help you filter exactly what you want to see. And now I click update, and the list is updated based on those filters. And now I say, oh, I see these errors, and this is an exception tilts out in my head. I want to go further. So I click on this error, and now again, as previously, I go to the details of the error with the distribution among operating system, devices, versions. As I mentioned, we see there is one version more affected than the other. We can see the occurrences with the number of affected users, how often is this happening. And now if we go a little bit down, we can see the stack traces, but we see them in human readable form because we have the symbolication that allows to decrypt this for the users. We are having this, I forgot to mention that this is a mobile app for React Native, but we have also these functionalities for Flutter, native iOS, and native Android. And then I could continue exploring, and again, I would see the list of user sessions affected by this error. In this case, are on a mobile apps or Android, iOS, and the app versions, and I could open the session to explore further as we've done previously.
Wow. This is, again, thank you so much for also this use case. Just phenomenal, because especially for mobile, and thanks for picking a mobile example here. Crashes are the most annoying things, obviously, for a user, and then providing this error inspector that gives you an overview of the distribution for the operating system, for the geography. I think that's amazing. The versions is very interesting, especially if you're rolling out new versions. You want to see, are there any problems? And then giving developers exactly the stack traces in such a nice way is just phenomenal. So we've seen, just to recap, we've seen the experience vitals, which from my perspective, the way I understand it now, is really to understand what is happening across your web and mobile app, how many users, do you have performance problems, and also do you have errors, but then for specifically drilling into errors or analyzing all of the errors and trying to figure out where you have problems in which areas, the error inspector is the tool to go. Did we miss anything from kind of like the exploratory perspective?
No, I think we've done the tour. Of course, if you want more details, always happy to go deeper with any of you.
Awesome. And I will have you back for another session where we are going to look into how does this data get analyzed by Davis, our AI, to automatically detect problems in the production environment, to then make it easy to remediate problems before they have a bigger impact and giving people the insights that they need to drill down to the root cause to fix things faster. But for now, thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you, Andy. Bye-bye.
Thank you.